afternoon's webinar by the BRCC. I'm Neil McGregor, the chairman. Those of you who know me, I'm usually stuck in an office in Bucharest, but because the chamber covers all of Romania, today I'm out enjoying the very pleasant spring sunshine in Sibiu in Transylvania. I'm really pleased to welcome our guest today, Anne-Marie Martin, who is the Director of Global Business Networks at the British Chambers of Commerce. Now, there are two reasons for this, three reasons. One is it's always nice to talk to Anne-Marie. Second, many of you will know her as our former chief executive. In fact, I think our founding chief executive in the BRCC. And thirdly, because the BRCC is accredited by and a member of the network of chambers under the British Chambers of Commerce. And when I talk to potential members of the BRCC, I always say that that is a really important part of our selling point and value to members of the chamber, because we give you access not just to our own members in BRCC, but all the members in every member of the British Chambers of Commerce. That's UK chambers and other bilateral British chambers around the world. I hope I haven't covered everything that Anne-Marie's going to say. So Anne-Marie, would you like to give us your presentation, and then we'll have a chat after that. We are recording this session, and you'll be seeing that there is a Q&A box. So if you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A box. Anne-Marie, welcome. It's really good to see you again.
Thank you so much, Neil, and good afternoon, everyone. It's actually good afternoon from here as well. I think I can probably still say happy 2021 to you all. We're not quite at the end of February, so la mulți ani to old and new friends. It's lovely to be with you in Romania, albeit virtually. I'm looking forward to coming back in person at some point in the not too distant future, I hope. So thank you so much for inviting me to join you. I hope I can shed some light on the work of the British Chambers of Commerce and how the Global Business Network will help your members to connect with UK companies sort of long beyond the more challenging times we're faced with at the moment. Let me give you a little bit of background. Neil's already mentioned that I was the founding CEO of the British Romanian Chamber of Commerce, and that was a very happy period of my career, which I loved and enjoyed very much. And it was my first sort of foray into the Chamber of Commerce world. I managed to cut my teeth and get a lot of experience, which helped to lead me into other roles beyond that. Before that, I worked in industry, actually still within the region. I was on the export front line, working for a distributor of specialty chemicals and non-destructive testing equipment to the heavy engineering, aerospace and aviation industries in Central and Eastern Europe, long before the region, shall we say, was a glint in the eye of the EU, and obviously long before Romania joined the EU. So it was an interesting period. I can remember, for example, the Yugoslav war, which potentially desecrated many businesses that were doing business with the region. And I have a good understanding of what it takes to literally pivot your business and almost start again, building it up in new times. So situation at the moment is not such a new phenomenon, shall we say, from my experience in business. Following on from my role as the CEO of the British Romanian Chamber, I took over the role as CEO of an organization that was called COBCO, which stands for Council of British Chambers of Commerce in Europe, of which actually the British Romanian Chamber was a member. It was the umbrella organization of British Chambers in Europe. And actually, as I came to the end of my tenure, that network has now merged into the British Chambers of Commerce. Probably about 18 months, 2 years ago. I'm losing track of time since the COVID crisis began, I have to say. So that's a little bit of background on me. And I joined the BCC in late 2018, early 2019. So I'd like to tell you a bit more about who we are, first of all. So the British Chambers of Commerce is the British Chamber representative body in the UK. We are one of the top 5 business representative organisations in the UK. We were founded 160 years ago, and our patron is Her Majesty the Queen. Our role is to represent and campaign for business, and in particular those businesses in our collective membership. We're owned by and work for our members, a core network of 53 UK chambers of commerce located nationwide, including in the devolved nations, that in their own right champion and support their members across the UK. Through our network, we gain unique insight into British business communities, both here at home and globally, which in turn provides us with a great deal of credibility vis-à-vis external stakeholders and partners, including UK government. Our international credentials, you can see them on the screen, are renowned. The UK-wide chamber network helps deliver products across almost every sector of industry. Goods are certified by the network, have entered over 150 markets worldwide last year, and more than 500,000 shipments had a value of £16 billion. Thanks to Chambers' deep local global roots, instantly recognizable brand, and it is a strong brand, and our not-for-profit status, we remain a crucial and trusted third party for businesses that want to expand their overseas journey, their footprint, or that want to bring goods into and services into the UK. When I first joined the BCC 2 years ago, this was with a specific purpose in mind: to develop and implement the BCC's internationalization strategy. My task has been to expand our global reach, which at the time was based on a historical projects with some, I think, 15 to 20 international affiliations, as we are now 70 international members, British chambers located across the world. So growth has been rapid. My role was to review the membership model and the programs, the initiatives and activities of this new network, as well as to develop the wider global integration strategy for the entire chamber network within the BCC and create a seamless framework of connectivity between chambers and ultimately their members. So what do we do? Our extensive research program gives us unparalleled insights into what's happening in UK business communities and what they need to succeed. Our jewel in the crown is the quarterly economic survey, which you may have already seen some of the output from. Regularly receives over 7,000 responses every quarter, and is the largest and most representative independent business survey of its kind in the UK. The results of the survey are used by many reputable agencies, including the Bank of England, for example, for their own forecasting. Our unique access to business insights and experience, strong relationships with local and national governments enables us to advocate for effective policy solutions to the challenges facing British business. We sit on weekly government business Brexit task force meetings chaired by the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, meet with the Secretary of State for Business regularly, and hold bi-monthly meetings with DIT ministers. We launched our coronavirus impacts tracker very early on to monitor business response to the crisis, as well as the effectiveness of the support packages which we helped to lobby for on the front line. We're now in the midst of gathering data on the impact of the new trading relationship with the EU via our Brexit impact tracker. And again, some of those outputs are being shared throughout the network, so you will be able to see those. They are also on our website if you haven't had a link to that yet. This insight, coupled with those strong relationships I mentioned with government, have enabled us to work with government to shape key interventions that have protected jobs and maintained cash flow to businesses. And we have close links with both broadcast and print media in the UK as well as internationally. And these are some examples of some of our media footage. We have regular appearances as the go-to business commentator amongst our peers. I'm sure you've seen our team on television quite a lot and in the newspapers. Our visibility has increased dramatically during 2020. Due in part to the crisis, and this continues to do so. There really is an increased appetite for insights from the business community, and that's growing. I wanted to tell you, before I tell you a little bit more about the power of the Global Business Network, I wanted to mention our customs brokerage service, Chamber Customs. This is our brand new response business. It's the only customs broker in the UK to offer a one-stop shop with direct links to all sea, air and ports, road ports and terminals in the UK. And with our growing global business network, we are now able to truly drive and promote trade too, and provide that local support across the world, including within the UK. So what is the Global Business Network, of which I am the lead? It is a key strategic initiative launched by the BCC around 2 years ago. It comprises of a unique international member network of now 70 and growing British chambers of commerce and equivalent business groups located across all continents of the world, and I mean literally all continents, that directly connect to those 53 regional chambers of commerce located across every key business hub in the UK. The group of chambers provides any company that is a member of any chamber in the network, so that means you, the members of the BRCC, with the opportunity to connect to a rapidly growing international ecosystem of what we term known and trusted business connections and support. I can't emphasize how important that last piece is. You know, one of the number one cited barrier to trade generally is finding your trusted business partner at the other end. And this network of chambers is able to support that. Our primary strategic objectives in creating this important private sector-led infrastructure is, on the one hand, to drive international business between the companies and the membership of the national chambers and the international chambers at the BCC across the world. And on the other hand, to help businesses to surmount those barriers to trade and seize the opportunities by creating that framework of connectivity and practical support that's provided by those trusted, known, private sector-led, reputable business partners. I wanted to share some good examples of how the network has connected and worked together on behalf of its members in the last year or so. These are just only 3 examples, and these are growing day by day. You know, we have a portfolio of many, but it would have taken up too many slides and too much time to show you all of them. But I think, you know, read them at your leisure. You will have the slides after this. I'm sure Madalena will share them. But I thought it would be good for you to be able to see how this does work in practice. Furthermore, this unique network has helped us to connect to each other more than ever before, to share experiences, best practice, and explore business opportunities, both chamber to chamber, but also member to member and chamber to member. Through our regular international market updates that we ran throughout the whole of last year, they've provided brilliant insight into the impact of the crisis on markets around the world, and actually impacts on chambers themselves. And the chambers have been able to learn from each other how to navigate some of the challenges and how to pivot some of the work that they do. There have been co-hosted multiple virtual trade missions between respective business members across the entire network via that chamber network. And we're seeing that ramping up now this year as well, as the bandwidth is moving from crisis response into more future gazing activities. With the help of the Global Business Network, we've worked to develop new programs and products for the benefit of the network, and for the first time ever, really place brand global at the heart of everything that we do. These are some good examples. In response to the seismic decline, and there has been in business growth, export and investment, we plan to launch our Year of Trade campaign later this year in order to help the business communities that our network represents to counter those barriers, look at the challenges, and seize those opportunities that will inevitably always ensue. I have a brilliant mentor who always says to me, never waste a good crisis. And I think this applies here as much as ever. This will likely be our key campaign for the next couple of years or so, for obvious reasons. It will include a combination of individual programs, virtual events, thematic surveys, practical guides and policy outputs, focused on the sort of practical solutions in breaking down those cited barriers to trading internationally. And I thought it would be good to see some of the events that we ran last year with some incredible global leaders, but also to see the campaign, how it's shaping some of the branding and some of the key programs within it. I thought I'd delve a little bit deeper here and tell you a little bit about each area. So the Global Trade Month program will explore strategic trading relationships and key priority markets other than the EU for that particular program, because that will come up in another one. These will include USA, China, UAE, Australia, Canada, India, just to name a few. And then we have our Global Trade Insights program, which is a thought leadership piece exploring the major trends in the future of trade, covering those pertinent topics that are relevant for today and tomorrow's new world. This will include things like the impact of technology on trade, the future of global skills and talent, and the access to finance is another good example, and diversification in supply chains and logistics, a huge topic that's being brought to the forefront throughout this recent current crisis. Trade the World is really very much our EU program. It's a series of practical workshops and masterclasses tackling the major strands related to our new trading relationship with the EU, and has already started running. Many of you hopefully have joined those events. We have one next week on services, and they're focusing on the whole area of rules of origin and preference, moving goods, mutual recognition of qualifications, standards, data flows, security, moving people, talent and skills, services, and moving money, most importantly. Our global research program will include a brand new global insights barometer, as we're referring to it at the moment, which will measure the UK's continued attractiveness in terms of trade and investment 1 year on from Brexit. So I'm looking forward to the international network being involved in that and inputting into that piece of work. And we've launched our International Trade Hub, which is our one-stop shop, our one location platform for all of our resources, practical services and insights on trade. It contains information about the scope and reach of the Global Business Network, our trade facilitation services, and chamber customs, which I mentioned earlier. With sort of global economic conditions likely to remain challenging in the near medium term and probably longer term, our brand new virtual global annual conference, which I promised Madalena I would say a little bit more about today, will be taking place in June, on the 16th, 17th of June, and will address some of the most important challenges and pertinent questions of our time. Delegates will be able to join a greater number of engaging sessions, meet groups and individuals to exchange business ideas, connect and form potential business relationships across the world. Topics will include, and you've got a good example on the slide, to describe, I think, the 2 days, they really do have distinct personalities, and we were quite keen to do that this year. This is a very new format for us, and it really isn't going to be the traditional, what I would say, conference style. It's almost more like producing a television program. Our first day will focus on restoring confidence, building a more resilient, sustainable future that supports businesses to respond, recover, grow, invest, and thrive. The key sort of takeaway words I would say and personality for that day is it's all about recovery, resilience, adapting, innovation, growth, technology. Will focus on business resilience at the heart of recovery, looking at how companies adapt and transform their operations in response to new global demands, looking at the whole area of supply chains, and most importantly, which will be so pertinent, it already is and will be even more so, is that whole area of recapitalization and access to finance for businesses as they move out of this challenging period. Another feature of the day is trade and technology as drivers for economic recovery and growth, looking at that whole area of our accelerated dependence on technology, placing innovation at the heart of everything, the new industries that have erupted, that already were but are there, med tech, fintech, agri-tech, energy tech, trade tech, you name it, that they are at the forefront of everything at the moment. And looking at those areas of forging dynamic international trade and investment relationships, ensuring that sustained recovery and growth in the economy. Day 2, very different in its personality. We'll be tackling the big challenges of today and tomorrow that impact those future generations by protecting health, inequities in society and the planet. I think that the focus of the day is around sustainability, people, consumer behavior, and consumers driving the way corporates respond in terms of both their offer on a consumer basis, but also as employers, and how Generation Z is driving some of that change from the bottom up. So we'll be looking at building a greener, more sustainable economy, meeting net zero and climate change commitments, greater investment in sustainable infrastructure, for example, the whole area of innovation and tech-driven industries that are leading to new skills and jobs. And then that whole area of people as a force for change, diversity in leadership representation, that radical change in consumer behavior that is impacting the way we shop, the way we connect with each other, socialize, work, and looking at what the younger generations are driving as activists in terms of change, as I mentioned, from the bottom up. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a good feel of what's coming in June, and hopefully you will all be able to join us at these events. And we've organized it in such a way where you can dip in and out in areas of interest. Nobody's expecting you to stay online for hours at a time. And then we have our programs that are in the development stage. In fact, the first one, Chamber Women, which is focused on our response to International Women's Day, week in our case. We have planned a program of activities that will take place during that week. In fact, in 2 weeks' time, we've launched a survey into our network to be able to put some numbers behind the big statements we'll be making in the media about the female representation within the leadership teams of our own network. We are a network now of almost 125 chambers, of which I expect, I don't know the figures yet because the survey's just coming in, but I wouldn't be surprised if more than 50% are led by women in the entire network. And then looking at the boards of chambers and where females representation sits within vis-a-vis the boards as well. And what more could we be doing to encourage greater engagement across the network, not just this chambers, but the members of the chambers themselves. So you'll see a huge amount of showcasing, a lot of video content that will be going live during the week. A very exciting social media campaign. And also we will have a finale event that we will launch on the Friday at the end of the week with Alison Rose, who heads up the NatWest group in the UK, who will be sort of involved in an in conversation event with our Director General. So lots to look forward to there. And then the whole area of race to net zero and COP26. It's at the forefront of most of our chambers in the network. We are going to be gathering as much information from our network as possible to gain a good understanding of what chambers are doing, what their members are doing, what innovation and best practice is beginning to evolve from the network. We have a net zero hub planned where we will be able to host all of this information. We'll have quite a lot of policy outputs and asks and media coverage. And also we are now exploring what presence we could have, be it in person, depending on where we are in November, or digitally at COP26 in Glasgow. We have a global task force that's been led by our chamber in the Netherlands and our chamber in Italy, alongside with our chamber in Glasgow, who are driving a survey product into our network to try and bring and consolidate all this information together at the center. Hopefully I've managed to provide some good insights into how your chamber's membership of the British Chambers of Commerce can add value to you as a business. And I think that can probably be best summed up as access to unparalleled insight into the UK business community and the business environment through our research program that I've already mentioned. I think there's no doubt that it can help to inform you to test and accelerate your growth strategy into the UK market and vice versa. There's access to unrivaled experience and expertise to our over 120 plus business communities that are located regionally, nationally, and globally by engaging directly with the members of our network. There's access to those thousands of potential customers, both nationally and internationally, through the Chamber's connection to those companies via their relationship with the Chambers in the network. And access, of course, to the events, the programs, the initiatives, our annual conference, for example, and our event series, and potentially even opportunity to speak at global events, depending on topics. I think there's a real risk that we become discouraged perhaps by all the challenges that we're faced with today and bogged down in the reactive. The Global Business Network provides a forum for proactive engagement that helps, at least I believe and hope you will agree, helps chambers and their members to explore new opportunities. I hope that this has been helpful. We are here to help and support in any way that we can. And these are my contact details. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed, Anne-Marie. Now,
sharing so I can see you all.
hopefully you can see everyone. It's still nice and sunny here up in Sibiu, I'm pleased to say. So those of you who can travel to Sibiu, I recommend to do so while you think about how we can network further. Anne-Marie, is it fair to say that by being a member of the BRCC, all our members have access to all these facilities and initiatives organized through the BCC?
Yeah. Indeed. I mean, the way we encourage interaction and engagement is chamber to chamber. For me, the framework of connectivity between the chambers themselves. So, for example, if one of your members is interested in exploring a particular sector or an initiative or an idea that's within the UK, then your team would come to me potentially as things stand at the moment, although we are looking at a slightly more seamless digital solution for that. And say to me, you know, Amory, I'd like to be connected to this area of the UK. I will make that connection to that chamber. You start having the conversations between you, and then the connections get made that way. I suppose my focus is bringing chambers together with chambers to drive those relationships between their respective members.
Thank you. We've been members of the predecessor organization, as we've said, and now we're members of the BCC. I think it's fair to say that it wasn't fully appreciated just how powerful membership of the BCC could be for the British Chamber in Romania.
Yeah.
And in terms of how we can scale the Chamber's offerings to our members and to potential members, it seems to me, well, it seemed to me for a while, that partnering much more closely with you and your colleagues gives us a tremendous advantage.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think, you know, the scope is there, and the only way to derive benefit is by being engaged and involved. It's not dissimilar to being a member of a chamber and ensuring that you are involved and engaged in the life of that chamber. So, you know, my message to your members is to benefit from the benefits that you have to offer them as the BRCC. They need to get involved. It's not going to fall in anyone's lap. You know, the more involved you are, the more engaged, the more you can gain from that membership. And one of the benefits you have as a chamber that you can offer out to your members is your membership of the BCC and what added additional value that brings your members. And it's the whole area of being able to have insight into, you know, a window into the UK, but actually not just the UK, Neil. The power of this global network is that you have a window into the rest of the world as well. So if one of your members has an interest in breaking or growing or doing anything in China, for example, is a good example, or France or anywhere else, why would you not connect with your sister chamber in that country and help your member to navigate that particular market and better understand it? That to me it's the multilateralism of this network that is the real powerhouse.
How many overseas British chambers are there now in your network?
70 and growing. I mean, there's probably about another 5 in the pipeline just in the next few months that come on board, and they're all big markets that are, you know, we've got British American business. If you're talking about strategic markets, you know, BAB, we have UK India Business Council, who's our latest member that has joined. You know, this gives your members an opportunity to explore outside of Romania and into other markets with that common thread of British, being part of that British network.
Yep, this is a point we've made, that you don't need to go via the UK to another British chamber. We can make a direct connection.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are monthly discussions at management level and leadership level between the overseas chambers. And we share ideas between chambers as it is, which is a very powerful networking in the first place.
Yeah.
I'd say also that the lockdown has moved the BRCC online. I think it's shown us just how we can reach all parts of Romania and all parts of the UK and even further. I think you were you also have good connections with, I gather, the chambers in Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They are part of the accredited chamber network. So Northern Ireland Chamber is an accredited UK chamber. Glasgow, Edinburgh, Aberdeen, more. They're going to kill me for not mentioning them, but they are all there. There is obviously there is the Scottish Chambers of Commerce, but the large, what I would say, the probably 5 of the largest Scottish chambers are accredited members of the BCC.
And I think I'd say it always helps to know who you're doing business with. And I'm sure that you serve all your members equally well. But the fact that you're ex-BRCC, and we know you and you know us, and hopefully this means that this should be a very good thing for members of the BRCC to get full value and support from you and your colleagues in the BCC. And
this is being recorded.
I said you serve all members equally well.
My heart will always be in Romania. You know that. You know
there that. That's right. There are some questions, I hope, in the Q&A box. I can't see very well here because the sun is so bright where I'm sitting in Sibiu. Anna, do we have any questions to mention, or can you see any questions there?
Not for now, actually. So I think you can go on with your discussion. For now, no, but I will let you know when
lots of hellos, which is nice.
Okay. As I touched just now, we're talking a lot more. We have monthly calls on Zoom and other platforms. How do you see international business changing because of the pandemic? Say the links between the UK and Romania.
Do you mean that's a big question, Neil. How do I see them changing? Because we're moving into a digital space, the barriers become less. On the one hand, they become less because connectivity can be achieved in a much more seamless way. Having said that, I mean, being Romanian, there's nothing like, the understanding of the power of people and the ability to see each other face to face, to look at each other in the eye and decide whether we like each other. I'm a great believer in having free trade agreements as enablers, but they are, for example, not the main show in terms of people doing business with each other. It is people that do business, and then you have these additional tools that help you. So ultimately, it's still about meeting your potential partner at the other end. It's still about getting together, understanding whether you like each other, whether there are synergies between you, whether there's an understanding around how you do business together. So I don't think that the digital space will ever, and don't hold me to it because who knows, will ever replace that in-person get together. I don't think it can do that entirely. But I do think that there will be an increased reliance on doing things remotely, digitally, and we're getting more and more creative in our ability to do that. So I think the challenges will still remain, because ultimately to do the final deal, you still probably need to meet each other and get to know each other. But there is no longer an excuse that distance is a problem or getting on a flight will be a problem. Those things are surmountable now. So I can only see that things will increase. And I also think that the opportunities that Romania still has, even though it's evolved so much, you can never call it an emerging economy anymore. It has emerged, it's developed, it is there. It's a huge powerhouse in Europe. I think at one point before COVID, it was, I don't know what the numbers are now, it was the second largest or fastest growing market in Europe. So that says a huge amount about its attractiveness, its competitiveness. But having said that, I think because of what's going on at the moment and everybody is still very much in crisis response mode, it will be really important that you continue to do that brilliant work to tell the outside world what the opportunities are, because it's very quick to, it's very easy to forget what's there, because you've been diverted to concentrate on something else. So I think there's a real role for the chamber to get out there as soon as it's possible. And it can be done digitally. It's a question of timing when people are more in that zone, to go and tell the UK what the extraordinary opportunities are within the Romanian market, and vice versa. Absolutely, the strength of you as an organization is to drive Romanian companies into UK markets, be it investment or trade. And actually investment anyway always leads to trade. So it doesn't matter which way around you do it.
Now we're in the process of increasing our footprint and activities in the UK. Yeah. We've had one every year up to now, pre-COVID. Now we can see what more we can do in the UK with additional people in the UK. So we'll be more active there.
Yeah.
Romania is known as a nearshoring destination. We've got members like London Stock Exchange Group who've opened their back office. Yeah. One of their offices here in Bucharest. Now, what I'm hearing from members in Romania is a lot about British companies which are finding that the Brexit transition is perhaps less than seamless, and they're looking to establish nearshoring entities, particularly in France and the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Now, what can we do to help encourage them to come to Romania and establish things here?
I think, again, it's getting out in there and telling them why they need to be in Romania, and not. And I think that's the problem. It's you always think about what's your nearest neighbor, and obviously France, Belgium are the obvious nearest neighbors, but actually making sure that you talk about what's unique about the offer in Romania and that region is something that needs to happen now, because now is where the demand is. There's no point in waiting till after the crisis, because this is you know, it's a double sort of edged sword at the moment, or a two-pronged crisis. That's the word I was looking for. You know, you've got the crisis in terms of COVID, but you've also got, as you say, the sort of experience post the end of the transition and the new trading relationship with the EU. So now is the moment to go out and remind the UK via the UK network that Romania is there standing ready to support. And this is what it could look like. So I would start thinking about a serious campaign that reminds them that there are countries beyond that frontline border group.
Yep. Well, again, having companies like London Stock Exchange here, with our tech clusters in Cluj-Napoca, in Iași, here in Sibiu and on Bucharest, this is a great place for tech. Exactly. We know how good Romanians are in IT matters and tech matters, and of course languages as well.
Yes.
We have a question in the Q&A box.
Oh.
Can you see it? Perhaps I shall read it in that case.
How can we help Romanian manufacturers to export food and non-food products in UK? To be honest, that is a way too specific for me. I think it's about everything I've already said. I'm not quite sure what the question means. I don't know, Ionuț, if you want to expand on it a little bit. I mean, is this a Brexit related question, or is it more about market opportunities? He's probably typing furiously. Yes, both. That's really not helpful, Ionuț, at all. Oh gosh, he's got me. I was trying hard to get out of that one. I think in terms of market opportunities, it's everything I've said. It's about going out there, using your chamber, using your membership of the chamber. I assume you're a member, and if you're not, join. Otherwise,
absolutely right.
You don't join, there's no support. So just putting it out there for anyone that isn't a member on the call. Yes, I am. Okay, fair enough.
Thank you, Ionuț.
As a member of the chamber, I think it's go to the team and say, you know, this is what I'm interested in. I'd like to explore the UK market. or I have a group of companies that are particularly interested in the UK market. What can you do to help me? And then they will connect with me or the team at the BCC or some of their colleagues in the UK network who they already know pretty well, and they'll be able to start exploring those opportunities with those UK chambers. Not wanting to detract away from the chamber network, which obviously is my passion, but there are also trade associations that are specific to those particular sectors. So again, I think the whole beauty of an ecosystem is that you expand it and you reach out to organizations that also are more niche for that particular sector. In terms of Brexit, I'm not even going to go there, Jonas, because it's way too complicated, way above my pay grade. But I mean, I'm joking. I mean, we are working very hard, and by all means, look at Chamber Customs, have a look at them online to see if there's anything in their services offer that they can help you with. But again, I think this is more about what can we do at the centre in driving policy and representation, which we are already, I promise you, it is a big hot topic for our policy team, and we're representing the challenges on a daily basis to UK government. The other thing I would say is you can do something at the national government level as well, again, through your membership of the BRCC. You know, the chamber is very well connected into the Romanian government, and there has to be a role that they can play around facilitating some of that as well.
We are active in Coaliția pentru Dezvoltarea României, which is also a very good way of talking to the Romanian government. And we find that the present government are quite receptive and looking to hear information from us about what our members think. Janusz, I think I owe you also an answer to an email. I'm back in from holiday next week, and I'll get back in touch with you then.
I love this conversation.
There is a... we have some also Q&A questions. One of them I see was about the relationship between the BCC and the Department for International Trade. I can say something about that from the local level, but do you want to talk first about the global level?
Yeah, it's a very strong at the center level. It's extremely strong. Where again, as we have engagement both at the ministerial level and further down at the DG level, and also you know, beyond that, we have a really good relationship manager who I catch up with all the time, and we talk about their objectives and priorities, ours as an organization, as a network, and what is it that we could do more together in terms of promoting, you know, respective campaigns. But one of the big areas that I'm quite focused on at the moment, and will be actually during this year, is how do we create that framework of greater engagement and more cohesive connectivity at the local level? And Neil, I know we'll talk about that because obviously he has that deeper understanding of what happens at the local level, but historically those local relationships have been patchy, like in all relationships. You know, some are better than others, and actually I would love to get to a point where they err on the side of better more often and more of the time. So I am working with our central relationship team to see how we can find some kind of framework for that better, you know, that more cohesive relationship at the local level that can be driven from the center down and vice versa. I don't know, Neil, if you want to come in on the local bit.
Yes, I'd say on the local bit, there's obviously a local DIT office, and we are in touch with them. I think, and I think our friends in the embassy think, that it's very important that there's a partnership between the BRCC and the embassy, which includes the DIT team locally. And so we try and make sure that we publicize their events, and similarly, we try to do the same with us. So we are looking to keep a close relationship with DIT to make sure we can give the best service for British business coming into Romania at all levels. Because obviously in this, DIT is there to promote British trade into other countries rather than Romanian trade into the UK. On that point, we have also good contacts now with the embassy in London, and we'll be talking to them a lot more in future about promoting Romanian investment, Romanian trade into the UK.
Yeah. And
Good.
I see one of the questions, sorry, Neil, the DIT
Carry on.
question was actually, do they offer the same services? No, I think that, you know, this is absolutely crucial. It's about complementarity. It's about how do we work as a team together to complement what the strengths and to leverage the strengths that each group has to offer. And another big area of focus for me is UK export finance. You know, they obviously sit within DIT at the moment. They are expanding their footprint internationally, and it's actually how do we bring together all of those threads so that we work more consistently and cohesively together in the future.
Mhm. And there's also mention I see from Jeremy on Q&A
Yeah.
about Connects.
Connects, yeah.
And I know we've had Connects, but not this Connects, and we've been doing a rebranding exercise. But I know Connects is a chamber organization. You want to say, can you say anything about Connects, Anne-Marie?
It's difficult for me to say anything. I know Connects very well. It was founded by Cobco originally. We were one of the design partners of it, but it's not a service that came with the alignment of the two organizations. So it's now Connects is a separate service of which some of the chambers in our network are part of. And I understand they're doing incredibly well. They've expanded globally and they have some very good reach. So it's definitely worth exploring. Jeremy's apps. I know Jeremy very well. And it's nice to see him on the call. Yes, it's definitely worth having a look at that because, you know, I think even if the chamber's not part of it, I think that companies can be a part of it. I'm not sure how it works now. So it's worth checking out, definitely.
Well, I mentioned that Janutz has things for me to respond on next week. I know Madalena of the chamber also has documents for me to sign, which I think relate to Connects. So do look out for announcements about Connects quite soon.
Brilliant.
Have you any more questions, please? Anyone in the general chat? Let's have a look at the general chat.
No, they've been very kind to me today.
Gosh, that's amazing.
Oh,
that's because the sun is shining.
My front door that sounds like a dog barking. Sorry. The beauty of working from home.
Well, again, I can't claim to be doing that. I've got the beauty of working out in the sunshine in the middle of Transylvania. So far this morning we had bells ringing and we had what sounded like an artillery salute. So I'm not sure what defending today is special about Transylvania, but so far we've had a reasonably untroubled session today.
Oh, lovely. There's another question there. So if expansion into another country from the UK is required, should you go to DIT or BCC? It's entirely up to you. I think the point is that this is a member-to-member initiative. So if you are a member of a UK chamber and you want to connect, you know, first of all, not all UK chambers have the DIT contract for this. So some will be running the DIT contract. So their international trade advisors will be quite connected into the BCC as well as the DIT network. So it'll be a question of preference, really. But the key is that you have to be a member. It's about members that are members of our network.
As I can just specify there, I'm sure people may know that for several years we had an arrangement with DIT, or UKTI as was, to support British exports into Romania. And we did very well with that. There was a change of view in politics in London. We took the view that should be dealt with by the embassy rather than by the chamber. So the chamber is purely a members organization. We're not on the payroll of any government. So if you want things put up to government, whatever place, that's what the chamber is here to do for you. Perhaps I can ask a further question about where we think things are going. Do you see that the move to e-business is going to help exporters and who use platforms like Connects, who use platforms like the BRCC and through connections here? So I think you can't join the BCC individually, can you? You have to join through a member chamber.
Yeah, you can't be a direct member of the BCC as a company. Our memberships are the chambers. So we are the membership organization of chambers of commerce. I do think that probably digital it's here. it is definitely, I'm trying to work out the, the sort of, what you were asking me really, but I think that, sorry, I'm putting it very politely.
So was I.
Um,
Giving you scope to answer in the widest possible
yeah,
sense.
but now you've just made it even worse. It's way too wide.
Okay.
I mean, digital is here to stay. It's been accelerated. It was already on its way. It was seen as a disruptor. And I think probably now you can no longer describe it personally, in my personal view, as a disruptor, but more of as an enabler. I think it has disrupted, but the reality is with the acceleration of what, with all of the crisis, 5 years from now is now today. So it is the best thing we can do is embrace it and use it to leverage and to help us and enable us to do the business that we need to do. So I do think that it will bring huge value and benefits and will be able to help. I think I go back to my previous answer on this. I don't think the face-to-face, person-to-person contact will be completely eliminated. I just don't think that will go away anytime soon. But certainly it helps to accelerate that process of getting to the point of where you actually do a deal as two business people together.
Absolutely. Do you want to say anything about the double taxation treaty between the UK and Romania and the investment protection treaty? Probably not. But I think I would just say, would you agree with me when I say to people that these are completely unaffected by Brexit?
I genuinely, this is seriously way too technical for me, that I am
okay.
being very honest and say that I wouldn't want to answer that simply because I just don't know enough about it.
Or perhaps I can say it's not affected by Brexit.
Oh,
so there's no reason for people to be concerned about Brexit affecting a double taxation status business between the UK and Romania, or your status of if you have problems in going to argue about unfair government treatment in either country. So there's another reason not to worry.
So Neil, you should have sent me some questions and I could have asked you that one.
Okay. Oh, you see, completely unscripted. There we go.
Yeah.
I should also say what the chamber or the BRCC is exactly the same kind of legal beast as the BCC, which is a company limited by guarantee with no shareholders. It makes no profit, and all of what we make is for the benefit of the members. And each member has one vote in the organization. It's a very useful organization, a very democratic organization.
Yes. And go on.
No, Carrie,
I was going to say that's absolutely the criteria for membership of the BCC, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
That
and I'd say also you also have certain standards you set apart from that, don't you? I think on who you accept for membership.
Yeah. So there are some rigorous requirements to be an accredited chamber of the BCC, of which I would say are based on, oh my God, Joy, who is our director of accreditation, is going to kill me for this if she ever listens, but I'll say are based perhaps on the sort of, ISO 9000 type model, but not quite, because obviously it's been tailored for a Chamber of Commerce model. But they are rigorous. We have an accreditation board that reviews all of this. So we take it very, very seriously. For the international membership, they don't go through that process because it's a slightly different model, although we're looking at how do we integrate that across the network. But there is still quite a strict criteria that needs to be met, which it revolves entirely around governance, good financial management, and clear sort of purpose of the organization and business planning, to ensure that any of the international chambers that join us are meticulous about the way they deliver the services, their membership development sort of requirements and plan, but also how they're structured and governed. I think that's really important. And whilst we know that chambers are lean machines, they won't always make vast amount of money or massive reserves. It's about a commitment to sustainability and good financial management. And all of those need to be demonstrated before you can actually join the BCC. We really are committed to ensuring that chambers build their capacity and are sustainable and can grow to provide good services for their members.
I know, as having been the external lawyer working with my predecessor, Ray Breeden, on the accreditation process, it was not a walkover.
No, it's not a walkover.
And we're making a point now in the BRCC of using the BCC's benchmarking service,
yes,
to get an idea of what our peers are doing in other countries, to pick up any good ideas and to make sure that we are as good as the best of them.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
you will see that working. We've got another question on Q&A, Anne-Marie,
yes.
which is, if expansion into another country from the UK is required, would you go first to DIT or to the BCC?
Sorry, Neil, that came up earlier. I think I answered that one. Well, I tried to answer it anyway. It was the one where I mentioned that really it kind of depends whether DIT have the contract within, or a chamber in the UK
I
has
see.
a contract with DIT, etc., or vice versa. So, for example, you mentioned that you were delivering services in Romania on behalf of UK of DIT UKTI at the time. There are still a cohort of chambers in our network that are doing that, particularly in Southeast Asia. So that program is still running in some parts of the world. So they will hold that contract, and therefore it will be a complementarity between the two organizations.
But is it fair to say that DIT, being a government organization, is there to attract business and investment into the UK? And if the expansion into another country means offshoring services from the UK, or moving up to operations into an offshore subsidiary, they won't be that interested. Is that fair to say?
I think it's fair to say, but I think there is a greater understanding that actually investing in another market also leads to trade. So, you know, that I think there's a bit of sort of loosening around that attitude, or that sort of perspective, shall we say. But yes, their role is to drive investment into the UK and trade out, you know, exports out. That's probably relevant to any country in the world.
Well, that brings us to the hour. We try and be punctual in the BRCC.
Of course.
So unless there are any other questions, if there are, please speak now or forever hold your peace, or at least until the next webinar.
And you know where I am.
We know where you are.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Good. Well, thank you, Anne-Marie. It was a most pleasant afternoon to talk to you about all of this. We're really pleased to be working with you and your colleagues in the BCC. Thank you to our colleagues in the BRCC, Stefan, Madalena, and Anna, for setting this up.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you all for attending this afternoon, and we will have more sessions. Anna, do we have anything else to announce for today?
Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Anne-Marie, for the very comprehensive presentation. And also thank you for the mentions on your upcoming virtual events. Actually, we are also having virtual events until further notice, but we're keeping optimistic that we will have face-to-face events sooner than we believe. And as Neil already mentioned, yes, we will have an event on the double taxation treaty on the 16th of March.
I should join.
Not by me. Not given by me.
And also, we will touch bases on the UK-EU trade agreement. And also, we'll have another event on gender and inclusion on the 10th of March. So we're looking forward to seeing you all there. I will also leave here the link to our website where you can check all of our events and also sign up. Thank you again, everyone, for being here. And we are here for anything, anytime. Even when I'm on holiday.
I am touched.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Bye-bye. La rivedere.